Welcome to the podcast that's been named one of the best in marketing research. This is Research Business Daily Report, and it's made possible by our exclusive community at the crowdfunding platform patreon.com/RBDR. I'm Bob Lederer, for more than 25 years, the respected voice in market research. Today, continuing an RBDR tradition, we are going to take a look at the upcoming Super Bowl advertising, which is scheduled to appear on Sunday, and mostly make its consumer debut then. And we'll talk to you about what we mean by making their consumer debut then during the interview you're about to see. It involves decision analyst executive VP Bonnie Janzen, along with that agency's Senior VP of Insights in the Innovation Group, Clay Dethloff. They join us for this year's discussion. Lady and gentlemen, Bonnie and Clay, first of all, thank you for joining us and for giving your input about the upcoming advertising for Super Bowl 54. What is there that's special, if anything, about an ad that is basically designed for the Super Bowl? Bonnie?
Well, first of all, obviously, given the way things run today, there are so many TV commercials and so many things that are generally run on all these programs that are done on streaming and all the different services and Hulu and Netflix. And so they are specifically designed for all these different avenues and different media outlets. And so they're specialized and focused on a very specialized target. So because of that, they are all broken up and fragmented in all these different audience groups. So this is one of the rare occasions where the brands and the manufacturers really have an opportunity to go right to a very large audience. And so for that reason, it's a much bigger audience that they're playing to. It's much more expensive, and the costs are high, and the stakes are high for them.
But Clay, that can cause you to miss the mark, can't it, with such a big audience?
Yeah, I think one of the issues is because there's such a large audience, you have every different segment, every different consumer type, every different type of person that is out there in the universe watching. So I think it's a struggle for companies to either be very narrow, recognizing that they're only going to maybe appeal to a part of that group, even though that part could be extremely large compared to any other, advertising medium they're going to be using, or they're going to have to kind of play to maybe be more appealing and general enough to appeal to all of those people who are viewing at that time. So I think they have to kind of make some strategic decisions on what range and what route they're going to be taking for sure.
Is there anything at all that's different in the group of Super Bowl ads this year, even slight differences between what we're going to see on Sunday and what we have seen in recent years?
Well, I think, to your point, there's a lot of similarities, I guess, is what I would say. What we have seen in recent years, there's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of superstars, a lot of celebrities in terms of singers and actors, and all of that is very similar. They definitely have brought out tons of the big names and spent a lot of money on them. As you know, the price of that 30-second ad on average is like $5.6 million. So there's a ton of money being spent. So they go back to, much like they do in Hollywood, they go back to what works. And so they know those things have worked in the past, and that's what they tend to do. So I don't know that there's something that's earth-shatteringly different, in my opinion. I don't know, Clay, what do you see?
No, I think it's maybe just a continuation of things that we've seen the past. As Bias mentioned, I think those are specific areas. I also think maybe the idea of hashtags are being included in a lot of the Super Bowl ads this time. So ideas that will kind of continue the interaction and the relationship with the consumer, other than that one ad. So I do think that they're trying to make sure that, whether it's through hashtags or bringing the ads in earlier, it's opportunities for them to kind of elongate that relationship with the consumer this season.
Okay. Let's talk about the ads themselves then. Bonnie, which ad or ads that you've seen really hit the mark in your opinion?
Well, there's a lot of ads that I think are a lot of fun. As I mentioned, comedy is a big one. And I think we talked about kind of what they're doing in terms of targeting. And I think there's going to be a lot of people looking for someone specific. Like we talked about Missy Elliott, for example, on Pepsi. I think there are going to be people who follow her, who really love her. They're going to be waiting specifically to see her ad. They've probably already seen it. And we've talked about teasers that are pre-released. And if you haven't seen the full ad, you've seen teasers, and they're going to be waiting for that. But in addition to that, I think there are a couple of ads that are very emotive and emotional. And one of them is Google is advertising their AI assistant, and the Google assistant that's helping a gentleman who's an elderly man trying to remember his wife. And so he is talking to the AI assistant and asking it to help him remember that she loved this and that this was her favorite flower, and show me pictures of them when they were on their honeymoon, and show me our favorite movie. And so her name is Loretta, and he's talking about it, and you're seeing it as it's going through. And then at the very end, you realize that the wife has passed away and that he's taking the dog for a walk. And it says, "Remind me that I'm the luckiest man alive," or something to that effect. And so it's very emotional. It's very different than what you think of when you think of AI and when you think of Google necessarily. And obviously that's what they're trying to get across. There's another one that happens to be for New York Alive. And to what we were saying earlier, what Clay brought up about appealing to a wide range of people, it happens to talk about love and a lot of different senses of love, and how you feel about a brother, and how you feel when you first fall in love, and how love matures over time. And again, if you're looking at an ad that's going to be shown to a lot of people, it kind of talks about love across a long range and a long time. And so it's kind of your feelings across all of those different time frames. So I think it appeals to a lot of different people.
Clay, of the ads that you've seen, and not all of them obviously have been pre-released, which ones really, got you?
You know what? And I think there were a good mix of a lot of different ads there. There were some that were talking about social issues. There were some that were inspirational. The emotional ones that Bonnie went to. I think I kind of went more to the comedy ones, if you will. I enjoyed and kind of really enjoyed watching some of those. I think the one that really grabbed me, and I truly thought it was just a brilliant ad, was the one about Cheetos, or their popcorn product that's coming out. And the ad was talking about this new product, and it was talking about, it had MC Hammer in it, but you know what? I liked it because it had a big name in it, but it wasn't all about the big name. He was almost aside to the product, so that the product was still central to the ad. But I thought the brilliant part of it was they were talking about the Cheeto fingers that you have, and kind of the red fingers that are left after you eat Cheetos. And what they did was they turned it from a negative of, you know what, I'm always wiping my pants with my hands after I eat Cheetos, to a positive, because they took some real life situations, some relevant situations to people, moving furniture, for example. No one really likes to move furniture. They took the opportunity of changing a baby's diaper. Well, a lot of people don't like doing that. And they gave an excuse of, oh, I've got hands that are red, I can't do that kind of a thing. So I thought it was really brilliant and funny how they took a negative of that brand, if you will, and really kind of turned it into a positive. The other one I kind of liked was the Michelob Ultra, and it had Jimmy Fallon and John Cena in it. And I thought it was a great playoff. I mean, of drinking beer. It talked about kind of the health aspects of that beer also. But, drinking beer a lot is a social aspect, especially with guys. They're drinking beer together with friends and so forth. And when people drink beer together a lot, at least with males, they kind of rib each other. They joke with each other. They may call each other names, but they're doing it in a sense of camaraderie and friendship. And I think the ad really captured that. I really enjoyed watching that. It almost reminded me, this will show my age, but the old Miller Lite commercials back in the early 80s, where the great taste, less filling kind of play that they had there. So I really kind of enjoyed watching that ad, just kind of the camaraderie. Again, I kind of thought it really captured why people drink beer really well.
A lot of the advertisers, or a growing number of them, tend to pre-release the ads before Super Bowl Sunday. As two professionals that work in the advertising, area and the advertising testing area, does that really make sense? Does that give you a bigger boost? Why don't you start?
Yeah, it certainly does help give you a big boost because again, it's starting to give people a sense of what's coming. It gets them excited about the brand and about the product. Some of these products are things that you're going to be buying. For example, avocados from Mexico, you're probably going to be making guacamole. And so it gets you excited about the Super Bowl and the event that's coming up. It's also something where, as Clay mentioned, hashtags, you may be already following that brand or that celebrity. And so they are influencers and you're into watching them on social media already. So the brands and the companies are wanting you to begin to, if you're not already, having a relationship with them. And certainly there are a lot of people who are in certain audience groups who are targeted and following them. And that's exactly what they want. They want to build a relationship and they want you to follow them. And that's what they want, is they want a relationship with you. It's not just a one-off 30-second ad and that's it and you're done. They want an ongoing relationship.
Clay?
I agree exactly with what Bonnie was saying. And as she was talking, the only thing I really have to add is and when she was talking about the avocados with Mexico ad, there was a lot of products that they were having showing, like an avocado carrier, baby carrier, and things for different products. It was a spoof on selling kind of online or through a channel. But I was like, I wonder if those are really around. It'd be kind of fun.
They're cute.
They're cute. It would be kind of fun to have those kind of a thing. The other thing I think that happens sometimes with good ads like that is, I hate to say it like this, but they kind of become meme worthy, And so I think as ads are kind of shown longer over a period of time, maybe, that it would be turned into memes as they move forward, kind of like the Baby Yoda thing that's going on now. Just people grabbing things and kind of carrying it forward, which, to Bonnie's point, just kind of keeps that relationship going longer.
The advertising that I saw that really has gotten me stimulated is the Hyundai ad. Mm-hmm. With the actors all, way overdoing Boston accents.
Right.
What did you guys think of that ad?
Oh, no, I thought it was hilarious. We were watching that as well. It was very, very funny, very well done. And again, it's a great way of showing that technology. And it's kind of like back to the Google ad. It's showing you technology, but in fun ways and very memorable. And that kind of dialect coach. And there's another one that's coming up on the Super Bowl as well, where Big Papi from baseball is going to be getting a little dialect coaching on trying to say something in a Boston accent, which is hilarious. So,
but I think that the Hyundai, the one that you're talking about too, it brings in the right mixture because it's funny. It's got memorable characters, people that you can respond to, but it still keeps that product front and centered. Right. I mean, it's all about parking in this spot in a little spot and then pulling it out. So I think it did a great job of balancing just kind of the glam with, the purpose of selling the product.
Right.
Yeah, it is good. Your boss, Jerry Thomas, told me not that many years ago that one of the problems with the advertising industry over the years has been there is not a lot of pre-testing. Mm-hmm. Does any of that hold true, or is it any different with Super Bowl advertising?
I think that the big brands who spend a lot of money do pre-testing. I mean, I believe that they do. And there are, I'm sure that there are some people sitting there on Sunday night who are going to be, nervous and worried, and that's the ones who did pre-test and those that did not. So I think that goes for everyone. And part of that has to do with how well the game is played and where their placement is to, who they're targeting and everything in between. So, it's always kind of a gamble, and I'm hoping that the brands get what they wanted out of who they're targeting. And it's a longer play. It's not just Sunday night. It's the whole strategy of what they've laid out for the year, what their product lines they're trying to introduce. I mean, this is not a one night, one time show. I mean, for them, it's business for the whole year and social media around it. I mean, they've put a lot of work and effort into this. It's not just a one day.
And yet the advertising can have very important short-term and long-term impact,
Absolutely.
Clay, because we've heard now about the Planters ad that was much talked about in social media last week, and
Right.
which apparently is probably not going to appear.
Right.
Yeah, that's one that I don't think it's going to. The last we've heard, it's not going to appear. And that's something that was completely out of their control, is the accident with Kobe Bryant. And so I think that it's probably a smart decision on their part to kind of pull back, see what's going on. And then will it stop that campaign? The removal? Probably not. I mean, those things are in place, and that's a large scale campaign, a large scale strategic move that they've had. So they're going to have to work around that. And that's probably a good point to bring in testing actually with that also, of when's the appropriate time to do it, when's the appropriate time not to, and how do you skirt around that issue or address that issue. Was it the Grammys 2 nights ago, right after the accident, they were trying to address it. So I think everybody's trying to kind of, when there's something that's relevant or pertinent or that could deal with that issue, you kind of have to maybe put a little bit more investment into figuring out how to make it work right.
Okay, let's get to the ones that swing and maybe miss. Bonnie, which one or ones have you identified as, I just don't get it, or this may not go over that well?
Well, and it's so funny. I watched, and Clay and I talked about this when we watched there's a Secret commercial about let's kick inequality. And I'll say this, being a woman, love Secret, absolutely love it. Love the brand, love the idea of kicking inequality. I mean, I'd be the first in that line. Not sure about the ad, just not sure. So have to see how that works. I mean, I think that there have been so many female empowerment ads, and I'm all about, there should never be a glass ceiling. I think women should be able to run the world any day they get ready and do it just as good as anybody else. In fact, there's an ad for Microsoft that I think has been out. It's not just a Super Bowl ad, but one of the coaches of the San Francisco 49ers, I think she's the assistant offensive coordinator. She will be the first female coach in the Super Bowl. And they've got an ad with her, and I forget her name off the top of my head, but she is fantastic. And it's Katie Sowers, and she is going to be the first female coach in the Super Bowl. And this is just incredible. And so Secret, I think, is a great brand, and I think the strategy behind the ad is incredible, and I think the idea of the ad is incredible. I'm just not sure that the execution or exactly how it works is really as good as it could have been, is maybe what I'm saying.
Clay, which one didn't exactly go over big with you?
Well, and I'll just to add to what Bonnie said real quick, I agree with her 100%. I think as 2 ads that were trying to touch on inequality, the one with the coach nailed it. Yeah. I thought it was just a good ad. The one that didn't hit for me at all was the Pringles ad, and it has features 2 people from the Adult Swim. It's an animated ad featuring 2 people from Adult Swim, Morty, I think, and
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. Don't even know who it was, but it was it was completely different. It just didn't appeal to me at all. Had no clue about it. And it was, I think, as we talked earlier, about, because it's reaching such a mass audience, how do they go? Do they go specifically for a target, or do they go broad to appeal to everyone? And I think this one made a conscious decision to appeal to a very small or a specific segment, and it left me. So I think from my standpoint, it may, with my kids or other people, it may just hit it perfect. It just missed completely for me.
I think there are 2 ads that we're expecting to see that may not have huge impact, and that's the ad that the Trump campaign is going to run,
right,
and a different ad that Mayor Bloomberg is going to run, which I believe is a direct attack on Trump. And I would think that Trump's ad is basically designed to coalesce his followers, and so you're probably not going to see a lot of change coming out of that ad as far as perceptions go. But it will be interesting to see what Mike Bloomberg's ad does in maybe raising issues or getting people to think, or because I don't think it's necessarily about Mike Bloomberg. I think he's really just attacking Trump, which he has done on every ad that he has run so far. He makes Donald Trump, the focus of attention in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah, he's really kind of skipped the primaries, if you will, and at least as far as the communication, and it's going straight at Trump, whether that will be a benefit, at the end of the day or not. But he is definitely going that route for him.
Bonnie and Clay, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well,
Thank you.
have a good day.
And I'm sure that our viewers appreciate it too. Hope you enjoy the game and all the advertising in between.
You as well.
That's your Research Business Daily Report, made possible by our exclusive community at the crowdfunding platform patreon.com/RBDR. We hope that you enjoyed today's conversation and that it may help convince some of you to become a Patreon supporter. As we mentioned, patreon.com/RBDR is the place to go. If you are one of the literally thousands of RBDR viewers, logic tells us that you perceive the average 5-minute video we do for RBDR as time well spent. And we also know that viewers exhibit their appreciation and value for our work by sharing them both internally and externally. And that information sharing can benefit your peers, but also, and most importantly for you, clients or prospective clients. It is one of the most unique and valuable reach outs that you can make to either group. And they'll thank you, believe me, or else, for presenting this information to you. Because if you find it valuable and think it's relevant to them, well, imagine what their reaction will be. So please take a minute or so and become a sponsor at patreon.com/RBDR. And after you've done that, we hope you'll have a great research day and that the rest of your business week goes well. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll all enjoy a competitive and entertaining Super Bowl game and some interesting advertising. And we'll see you all again here with us on Monday.